Hey folks, we are live and here we are again. It is another day, another week. It is Monday and we're going to make a change here so I can see what I'm doing. There it is. All right, folks, we're live and we're on here. It is Monday, December 7th, a day that will go down in infamy, if you know what I'm talking about. Today is the anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, and it's a day that will never be forgotten. And, just a moment of that and a moment of prayer for all of those sailors and military and everybody that died in that attack that day was unbelievable. And, when I read Hirohito shortly after he attacked Pearl Harbor, realized he had unleashed a monster, a giant, and they wondered why he never continued on and attacked the California coast. It became obvious to them, and I think they understood or finally understood the power of the United States and the people that live here. There's 340 million people living in America. And I would wager there's that many guns in homes across America per person. So if anybody ever decided to actually attack the US, I think it would be a formidable army that would be there very quickly to protect the United States and what we do. We start every day with a program, and today we're going to talk about the Financial Mastery Coaching Blueprint and personal growth, because I want to continue to tie the two together. But as we start every presentation, we want to send our prayers out for those that have been affected by COVID, this virus that's going around, and it seems like it is working its way now very quickly. It's growing. It is going to be what it's going to be, folks. We just all need to be vigilant and wash our hands and do all the things that we need to do to keep ourselves safe. Business needs to go on. We cannot just simply shut everything down. It's like an old saying, you get paid every couple of weeks. And if you took your paycheck, you cashed it at the bank, took the cash, and you went into the backyard and you dug a hole and put the money in a tin can in the backyard. And nobody did that, and they didn't spend any money. Guess what? Everything would collapse, because money in motion has to happen. We want to send our prayers out for everybody affected by COVID. We want to offer our prayers for those that have lost loved ones. And the loved ones who have been lost, we pray that the Lord would open his arms and take them into his kingdom. So with that being said, we'll get started today. I want to talk about prosperity thinking, prosperity economics versus poverty thinking. It all starts in the mind, folks. We really have to stop and think, because anything and everything in the future, if you think back on your life, there are times where you probably thought of things and never crossed your mind that somewhere in the future, those things you thought about and focused on would come true. It is scary when we look back on our lives and the things in the past. And the biggest thing that interferes with everything we do, fear is what I'm talking about. False evidence appearing real. And that is just simply the problem that many of us have, because we fear the unknown. We fear what we haven't experienced. We rely on some kind of experience or some kind of expression from other people to help us overcome this fear that we all have. Because if we are true believers, there is nothing to be afraid of, because God takes care of everything. And somebody said to me one time, we were talking about life insurance and life insurance to protect his family. He says, I put all my faith in God above. And I said, well, that's wonderful. That's great. But what checking account does he have? I mean, God gives us free will to make our own decisions, good, bad, indifferent. But it is also our responsibility to be who we can be. And that involves everything we do. Our goal is to be the best person that we can be every day. Letter of St. Paul to Corinthians, second letter to St. Paul to Corinthians, talks about comparing. You know, we talked about how to win friends and influence people. And the first principle, don't criticize, condemn, or complain. And I add compare to that. You never compare yourself to another person, because that sets you up as being envious of somebody else, possibly. And that's not a good thing. You only want to compete and compare the you that you were yesterday with the you that you are today. What are you doing? What are you reading? Who are you around that has the ability to advance you heart and mind? That has to happen. It's the same with the financial growth. You know, saving money and building resources for your future. It is just so important to understand this process, because that's what it is. It's a process. And the process involves everything. It involves you and your personal growth as much as it involves increasing your financial well-being, your savings, getting out of debt, and all of those things. So, you know, it is that process that we have to go for. You know, when I talk about prosperity economics, let's talk about that. And when I look at this, and I have a list, and the list, you know, one on typical financial planning and prosperity economics. That is two diametrically, not opposed, but different, one side to the other. It's just like the two sides of the table that you and I are on, between us and the financial world on the other side of the table, the banks all the way to Wall Street. Their purpose, their passion, their goal is to make money, because they are owned by stockholders. And it's always been funny in my mind when I talk to people that are sort of anti-capitalist, you know, but you know what? For the most part, they all have money in 401k plans at work. But yet they lambaste the businesses and capitalism. Well, that's like saying, okay, I don't want my 401k to grow. I don't want to make money in my 401k. Well, why do you say that? Well, because big business is bad. Well, why do you own all that stock in all those companies, hoping that they do well and make money? Because you're a stockholder in those companies. I don't know. It's befuddling to me. I guess I got all these words. Befuddling. There's a word. I don't understand the thinking. Remember, it's all about the thinking, folks. It's how we think. It's the 6 inches between our ears and how we think. Now, how did we get to where we are today, and the thinking that we have going on in our mind today? Where did that come from? Come from the things we experience, the people we know and meet along the way, our parents, relatives, friends, neighbors, people we work with, and the books we read. Books we read, people we meet along the way, and our own experiences from the places we go. So if you aren't where you want to be, something has to change. That was the magic statement that I've never forgotten that Jody said to me 29 years ago. He says, Tom, you are where you are because this is where you decided to be. You've made all the decisions in your life that brought you to this moment in time. Now, where did all those decisions come from? It came from people I meet, books I read, and places I go. So it comes from the experiences that I've had in my life. Well, what guarantee do I have that those people, experiences, and books that I have read were good for my thinking? I don't know. That's why we have the book series that we do every month. You know, Think and Grow Rich is the key book. It is the central focused book on how to get ahead in life. Whether it's a promotion at work, growing your own business, whatever it is about controlling how we think, controlling what we think, and in general thinking. I like physical fitness. I do crazy stuff with P90X. Every day I work out. And I won't show you my picture, but I'm ripped, okay? As crazy as that sounds, 71 years old, and I'm ripped because I have been working out for a long time. If I don't work out for a while, now in the last 6-8 weeks, I've had a shoulder problem. I don't know, I pulled something in my neck and it made my shoulder ache. So for 4 to 6 weeks, I didn't do any push-ups, I didn't do any pull-ups, I didn't do very much of the exercises that relate to that shoulder. I did everything else, but if it was the shoulder and all that, I avoided it because it hurt. And now that neck thing is gone, and last week I started working out again. You know what? I can't hardly do a push-up where I was doing 25 or more of them 3 months ago. So what happened? Well, I stopped exercising. Well, the mind is exactly the same way. You have to practice thinking. You need to set aside time. Some people call it meditation or whatever it is, but you need to practice thinking. And that practice comes out of reading good books that change your heart and mind. Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends, Influence People, Magic of Thinking Big, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, and so on. Those are books in the future we're going to talk about on a monthly basis when we do our book series. So every month there is going to be a book we're going to talk about along with this journey that I'm trying to get you on. We need to keep you inside the lines. Otherwise, you're off in the ditch, you're off in the middle of the field, you've wrecked, and you've got stuck, and you stopped improving. It's a decision, folks. It's a decision that we all have to make. You know, prosperity thinking, after tax contribution, strives to maximize future income, which may cause higher tax brackets during distribution, so prefer paying taxes now. That's the difference between looking at taxes and they want you, the typical financial, and want you to defer and postpone all the taxes that you can. Now let's talk about that for a minute and make that our mantra for today. Because in all the typical planning, it's about putting money into IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, and all those kind of places. 2 things happen when you do that. You give up control of the money for a long period of time until you're at least 60 or older. And if you need to access it before then, there are severe penalties possibly. And most of those accounts have fees associated with them at the same time. So if you figure out the fees and the lost opportunity cost, you're going to lose more money than you actually make on those accounts, because when you put all of your discretionary savings out of your control and you need to buy something, you end up using debt at the bank. or the credit card balances or other things, and you end up paying interest to the financial world, which is how they make money, because you listen to their advice. It leads you down the road to make them more money. So they have macroeconomic, there's a word, macroeconomic, not microeconomic. You get stuck in the microeconomic world because you're doing one thing. They play in the macroeconomic world where they can do more than one thing with the money. So they take the money you put in your 401k and they loan it out to other people. If it's through banks, they get to do fractional banking. So they actually multiply the dollar in addition to loaning it out to other people on an average of 7 times. I don't know how you expect to get ahead by playing the game the way they teach you to play it. I want you to learn how to play the game differently. That's really what I'm all about. But in order to play the game differently, I have to grow you a little bit. I have to grow your confidence in you. That's what the personal growth does. The personal growth builds confidence in you and your ability to think, because you don't believe you can come up with the right answers. Back to that fear again. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of not having money when I retire, fear of dying too soon, or fear of medical issues. Fears are false evidence appearing real. We're going to continue our discussion this week, every day, talking about the blueprint and personal growth and why it is so hard, seemingly so hard, for people to get ahead. That's the message here. So we have to move you off of dead center. I want you to get my book, The Family Money Farm, the CFO Project. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Barnes & Noble. You can go to cfo-project.com. That's cfo-project.com. Put in your name and email address, and you'll get a link. You'll get an email with a link to be able to download the book for free in complete cover to cover. You need to read the book. Now, if you go to cfo-project.com, I would send you there regardless, because over there you're going to have access to more opportunity for you to grow you. So for $47, I ask you to invest in yourself. Comes with a money-back guarantee. Live your life insurance. Life insurance will pay when I die. The Infinite Banking Concept by R. Nelson Nash, a teacher, talks about the banking concept and jumpstarts your financial freedom. Those 4 books and a 1-hour video called The Secret to Wealth Creation. And it talks about the debt clock, how to multiply your income at retirement and have 30, 50, 80%, 100% more retirement income than typical planning, and how to get out of debt and own your debt. I can't make it any clearer than that, folks. That's where the information is at. And if you're not going there to get it, it's going right over your head. Stand up, folks, you're not getting my message. You got to stand up because it's going right over top of you. This works, folks. It comes with a money-back guarantee. If you can tell me you read the books and you watched the video and it had no value, send me a letter and I'll send you your $47 back. It is not about the $47. I have to pay for my business and pay for the stuff that I do, but it's really all about helping you. That's what it's about. God bless. See you tomorrow at noon. We're going to continue our journey. We're going to talk about 401ks, employer match, typical planning versus prosperity economics. God bless.